Welcome to On the Bubble Podcast, episode 143. I'm your host, Basa J. Winen, and with me is my co-host, Yuki Lee Bender. Today, we're going to be continuing our look into the Omens of the Third Age spoilers, and we'll be talking about mainly the cards that we missed last week and the expansion slot cards. So we'll still be talking mostly about Constructed this week. Before we start, have you played any Flesh and Blood this week, Yuki?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been going to armories. I was playing a little bit of Valda for the article I wrote for LSS. So there's a Valda deep dive if you're interested in that on the main website. That was kind of fun, getting to explore Valda a little bit. And then I guess like recently I've been messing around with Syndra again. One of the spoilers we'll talk about I think is quite good in Syndra, as well as Fang, actually. Very exciting card. So yeah, I've been playing a little bit, but not. Still kind of taking it easy. Leaving for Prague in a few days now. It's Friday. I leave on Wednesday, so like mid next week.
Okay, perfect. So, are you doing any prep for Prague at all, or just reading the spoilers, making sure you're up to date on that?
Mostly that. It's pretty hard to do much prep for World Premiere. You're kind of missing too many of the cards to really, especially at Common and Rare, to really like know how the heroes will play in Limited. So, you know, thinking about the cards and how they might work together a little bit, but usually most of the work is done on the Friday itself. When you're playing the World Premiere, you have all the new cards, you play Sealed, and you see how it goes, and see what you play against too, and what your friends are playing and play against. All of those are really valuable. But yeah, I've found that early work is typically not so impressive, and I think we even got like a few less spoilers than we did in, I don't know, this feels in the middle. There was like a while where we had a lot of spoilers. Like for Rosetta we had quite a few, and even then it felt like the early work didn't do that much. And then there was other world premieres where we had like fewer spoilers, and this feels like maybe somewhere in the middle. We have a decent amount of spoilers, but I think we're still missing a fair bit as well.
I think right now we're only actually missing like a couple of commons from like each like class and like a cycle of commons, right? So like we're missing like 6 cards for Aurora, 9 cards for Cilio, things like that. Yeah. So yeah, we're not actually missing it too much, but those cards are super important for Limited, right?
Yeah, like looking at Ziggy, it looks like there's like 4 cycles of commons and a cycle of rares missing. It's like 15 cards. Yeah, most of them are missing a few cycles of cards, and all of those cards matter. And the other thing that's like very interesting, this makes me think of Rosetta, where we did have a lot of cards, is you don't know the pack breakdown, and the pack breakdown can really influence things. I had sort of built like dummy decks for each of the heroes, sort of like what can you build if you treat it like Constructed, which is a really good Limited exercise. But the problem was that I built these like red line Acilio decks that seemed really, really broken. But you couldn't really draft them in reality because of the pack breakdown. You just couldn't get enough of the premium lightning reds to actually make the deck that I had constructed. It didn't really translate into the world premiere at all. So since having that experience, I've kind of strayed away from that approach, because I felt like it might have almost been unhelpful. Because it's sort of like I had like ideas about the hero that weren't based on all the cards, and then it was kind of incomplete. And then I think like I sort of had like more learning curve on the hero, because I had like, not only did I have to learn how the hero worked, but I had to like unlearn the things that I thought I had learned. So yeah, I would think about like doing this. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but like basically building out the heroes, of like what a good version of the draft deck could look like is a really good exercise. But you kind of need to know the pack breakdown to be able to do that. And that's something that we're definitely missing, in addition to like some of those potential key cards. So yeah.
That makes sense. From the looks of at least this set, though, the Lightning Hero doesn't really look like they're dependent on reds this time, right? Whereas in it was Rosetta last time, where both the Lightning Heroes were super dependent on the red lightning cards, that it just didn't work in Limited, right? But hopefully this time around it's not gonna be like that.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like a little less red dependent. I'll be curious. We're also missing a good chunk of just like lightning commons, and that will, I think, shape the format a lot too, because those are I mean, there's generics in the set also that we're missing, but the lightning commons are essentially generics as well. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how that will end up kind of informing what the set looks like and what people play.
Okay, then do you wanna do a Patreon shout out and then we'll move on to our main topic?
Yeah, so just shout out to all of our patrons who give back to the show. We couldn't be doing what we're doing without you. We have a few different tiers available if you are interested in giving back. We have the holiday bauble and cracked bauble tiers for $2 and $5 if you just want to give a little bit back to the show, show some appreciation and show some support. And if you're interested in content, you can consider the titanium bauble tier, which gets all of the content releases that are on the Patreon as well. And then there are also some higher tiers that include some monthly coaching sessions if that's something that interests you as well. But yeah, we've really gotten a lot of support from people and couldn't be doing what we're doing without you. If you want to check us out, you can find us on patreon.com/onthebauble and find us there. And even if you're not somebody giving back to the show, if you're just one of our listeners, we also really appreciate you. You're kind of the reason that we did the show in the first place and continue to do it. And meeting you at events is always really exciting. So thank you to all of our listeners as well. Yeah, if you're interested in buying singles in Canada, you can look at invasioncnc.ca and use the code YLB5 for 5% off all your singles and let them know that we sent you. And so that helps support us and helps you save a little bit of money on your singles. They typically have really great stock, especially at set release. So if you're looking to pick up some of those Omens cards once we move a little closer to set release, I would highly recommend Invasion as a store to buy from.
Awesome. Then we'll move right into the spoilers. There's actually quite a bit of cards that we want to talk about today. And as we said, we're going to be talking about mainly in the classic constructed lens. So I guess the first card on our list right now is going to be Arcanic Reproach. This is going to be a Lightning Runeblade instant aura. It's pitches for blue, costs 0, and it blocks for 3. And this card reads, the first time an opposing hero deals damage to you each turn, you may reveal a lightning card from your hand. If you do, deal 1 arcane damage to them. At the start of your action phase, destroy an aura you control. So this card isn't an aura, so if this is your only aura left on your board, you have to destroy this at the beginning of your turn. But if you have other auras, for example, like a lightning flow token, you can destroy that instead as well.
Yeah, so I think this is not like the flashiest card, but does a lot of work. The typing is like the big thing on this. Blue, 3 block, lightning, instant aura. Maybe the Runeblade part will matter as well, hard to say. But just having a blue 3 block that converts for some value that you can use to trigger your Gone in a Flashes and things like this, I think is kind of important since it looks like they want Aurora to be able to pitch. And this just seems like a real kind of like glue piece and workhorse for that deck. It also has some turn 0 value. It's not too hard to imagine getting like 2 points out of this card and blue 3 block. And maybe if you bounce a Gone in a Flash on top of that, it's like, that's pretty good.
Like, just as the baseline, this being 0 cost, blue, 3 block, passes all the check marks for being a blue, right, in your deck. But one other thing I want to talk about is that it says at the start of your action phase, destroy an aura you control. You know, the first thing that came to my mind is one of those ailments like Frailty token, Blood Rot token, Inertia token. You can destroy these because you control those, and this card will let you destroy that and keep this card alive.
Yeah, that is kind of cool too. So it's like it's like a not a bad arsenal. If you're against like Marionette or something, the Codex of Frailty, you send Leave No Witnesses. In response to Leave No Witnesses, you play this, you ping them for 1, you destroy the Frailty that you got, and then you're going to do at least 1 more damage on your next turn. It's still like a blue that converted for 2, but you sort of like get to largely ignore their Codex of Frailty, which is pretty solid. So yeah, I think this just does a lot of small things. You can play this turn 0 because it's start of action phase check, so it's at least 1 value turn 0, assuming they attack you, which if they don't attack you, you're probably pretty happy.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. And also just the more effects that you get like this, the more that you can just threaten to kill your opponent on their turn, sort of like what Briar does in Silver Age, even what Briar did in CC to some extent. You have this, you have like Burn Up Shock is probably a card that you play. And it all it's kind of like when you have like Reckless Swing in a deck, it kind of just changes that whole end game. And I think this is also a card that is going to do that to some degree, and having that in your blue 3 block base is really solid because like people played Reckless Swing, like a 1 of Reckless Swing for a similar effect, and that card was just like kind of not a card you ever wanted to block with unless it was winning you the game. Whereas this is just a blue 3 block. It's not as powerful effect. 1 Arcane is definitely worse than just like 2 untyped damage that you can't prevent ever. But there'll be a lot of spots where your opponent just has to tap out and you can kill them with this card.
I think the one downside of this card will be that it doesn't trigger Face Purgatory in any way, right? It isn't a non-attack action or an attack action, so it doesn't work with Face Purgatory, which is one of like the Runeblade's probably strongest headpiece right now.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be interesting to see how Runeblade's balance instants for cards like Gone in a Flash and then non-attacks for Face Purgatory, or I guess on the other side for like Warmongers, depending on how Aurora decks are built, Warmongers like could be effective if they're running a bunch of Mercurial Skies and Burn Up Shocks, but if there are a bunch of instants, then it doesn't really do much. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how the decks end up getting configured.
Then do you want to move on to the next card?
Yeah, so we have a Runeblade Legendary, Gauntlet of Sword and Sorcery. This is Runeblade Equipment Arms. It blocks for 0 and it has AB1. It also has an action. Pay 2, tap this and your hero. So you have to be able to do both to satisfy the cost. And it says the next attack action card you play this turn gets, when this attacks, deal 1 arcane damage to the opposing target. If damage is dealt this way, this gets +1 attack and go again. It doesn't give the attack go again, just the activation on the gloves has go again. These just seem like a good AB piece that sort of like fill a similar niche to the Grasp of the Arknight, where you have like a 2 resource sink. And it's a little bit more efficient, right? Because not only is it 1 arcane damage, like the Rune Chant, but if it deals damage, your attack gets +1, which can also scale on hits. So I think that this is like probably not going to replace Grasp like wholesale in your deck. Grasp is just such a strong equipment. The armor on it is huge. But this activated ability is really strong. So I think that this is like a pretty good AB piece to have access to.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'll be curious to see if you actually do need the Arcane Barrier, or if this is the Arcane Barrier that you want to play, as we already have Didactic Catapus, right, which is an AB2 piece. I guess we do still need an AB1 piece somewhere, but
yeah,
not sure if this will make the cut still. I know the ability is super reasonable, but like, man, Runeblade has so many good equipments. This is fighting with so many of the good equipments they already have.
Yeah, I think that is true. The main AB1 piece it probably competes with is the like Lightning Greaves in Aurora. I could see being where you play your AB1. But I think this is probably better than Vexing Quillhand. It does have quite a bit of synergy off of like a Tunic counter, where if you play this with Tempestuous Kiss as like a 2-card hand off of Tunic, so 2 cost plus 2 to activate, you get the 1 arcane even when it's not online, and that 1 arcane threatens to discard the card. You can do a similar thing with CNC, where you off a Tunic you activate this, play CNC, do 1 arcane. If they don't stop the arcane, the CNC's for 7. So it being able to scale on hits, and especially scale these like when this deals damage effects, like the quick strike type cards, seems pretty interesting. So I'm curious if we'll get more of those style of on hits. I think the more of them we get, the better this effect gets.
That makes sense. Do you think that this tap your hero portion of the cost is going to be an actual cost, or it's only going to be relevant for currently Aurora with this text, right?
Yeah, I do think it's a real part of the cost, but I think it's also notable that Aurora's hero ability costs 2 and this costs 2, and I don't know how often you're really going to want to be like pitching 2 blues to do both anyways. So I kind of imagine like you'll either activate Aurora's hero ability or you'll activate the gauntlets. Original Aurora was like this too with Grasp. There was a lot of interesting decisions about, do I activate Grasp or do I make an embodiment of Lightning for consistency? And it might depend on what your arsenal and what's left in your deck. But you didn't really do both outside of maybe like turn 0.
Yeah.
So
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, then next card will be Careless of the Reaper. This is a Runeblade action attack. It costs 1, attacks for 5, blocks for 3, which is a very reasonable stat line. But it also has the ability, whenever this deals damage to a hero, destroy target aura they control. This is one of those interesting cards in the sense of like it can kill any aura, right? Even costed. Usually these effects as token auras, but this one in particular says any aura. So this pops, I guess, in this set, all of Ziggy's cards. And in previous sets, like all the other illusionist auras that were kind of like auras that you had to attack to pop them with things with phantasm, or even auras that are just like really annoying to deal with, but it does have to deal damage. So I guess it doesn't really help with against the ward stuff right now.
Yeah, not so good against Ward, but does work against Spectra. Could destroy something like a Ponder. I'm trying to think about if they would ever. Usually, a lot of the Ponder cards seem to make Ponders on your turn currently, so I don't know if that would actually come up, but I'm sure there's going to be spots where this is annoying. It kind of reminds me of like Runic Reckoning, which was a 3 for 7 on hit. You destroy an aura, make a rune chant. That was not in every matchup card, but the on hit can be super, like when it matters a lot. You could blow up like Frost Hexes or Insidious Chills in Icelander back in the day. So yeah, keep an eye out for different auras that you can blow up. Notably, this can always blow up lightning flows, if nothing else, against the new heroes. So that's going to matter. And Gauntlet of Sword and Sorcery does work with this card, where if they don't stop the arcane, it blows up an aura. And then if it hits, it blows up a second aura, because it's whenever. So you're adding an instance to this, and you can potentially destroy 2 auras if they don't want to interact with you.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm not sure if there's that many auras on board recently. I guess the stacks Florian deck type things where they're trying to like stack rune chants is really good against, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this will even come up in constructive play.
Yeah, it's very hard to say. Probably a good card to remember as a sideboard option, but I think that the meta needs to look probably a pretty specific way for this to see play. But that being said, if the meta is like all Omens heroes, this is probably pretty good.
This card's definitely reasonable and limited though, right? Because everyone starts with a lightning flow token, and then this already always has an on hit destroy lightning flows.
Do you start with a lightning flow?
I'm pretty sure the Omens of Arcana.
Oh yeah, you do. Each hero starts the game with a lightning flow. Crazy.
Yeah, and then all the lightning flow tokens have spell void 1 as well.
Yeah. So yeah, this will be, it's a majestic, but yeah, seems very powerful and limited.
Okay, then let's go down the list.
So we have Turn to Mindfire. This is a wizard action, 2 block. It comes in red and it costs 2. It says deal 5 arcane damage to any target, so Voltic Bolt. And it says if this deals damage, you may tap your hero. If you do, create a Ponder. 5 arcane damage is pretty hard to stop, so I think this will be usually making a Ponder, and a 2-card 5 that makes a Ponder is actually a really good rate for arcane damage. Not a bad rate in general. Like if you value the card at 3, this is like a 2-card 8, and it's arcane, which is like really impressive. I think this card's just like basically good in any wizard that wants to do tall spells.
You know what this card reminds me of? Do you remember the common attack action card that makes a Ponder on hit from what is that set? It's Outsiders, I think.
Yeah, I can picture the art. Oh, it's like destructive
Deliberation. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Destructive Deliberation, which is a 2-cost 5 power 2-block attack action card. This is when it hits a hero, you create a Ponder token. This is like a strict upgrade of that card by like every metric, right? It costs 2, it blocks for 2, so it's all the same stats, but 5 arcane is so much harder to block than it is 5 physical. Yeah. And Destructive Deliberation was a card that I kept on being like, man, this card might be good enough. Turn to my Mindfire is definitely good enough, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the biggest drawback of this card is that it's a red 2-block, so there will be spots where it's a little bit awkward. But I mean, this is just like one of those reds that I think you're going to want to resolve almost every time that you play it. It kind of has like that, like Findle's Fighting Spirit or Wounded Bull kind of feel, where it's like just this super efficient 2-card play that you're going to want to resolve whenever you can, pretty much. Also, Sage Legal, which is kind of crazy. Like this card in Icelander, for example, seems really solid. You play this, you get a Ponder. If it's a blue, you can play it from your arsenal. If it's a red, then you get to arsenal a red. Yeah, this card seems just like really good. And I think in limited, it will be like pack one, pick one, I think. Has to be.
Has to be close. Yeah, has to be good. It has to be good for sure.
Yeah, it's at least like up there for pack one, pick one. There might be better cards, but like this just seems so premium.
Yeah, definitely a premium Acilio card. Oh, I don't want to get hit by this forever.
Turn 0. I mean, the Ponder doesn't matter as much, but it's still 5 arcane turn 0.
Yeah, man. Any deck, or sorry, any limited format with a wizard in it is that like the turn 0/5 arcane damage, and then you just like look at your board and you're just like, I don't have arcane barrier. Like, what do? I just have to leak 3 damage or 4 damage. It's like not fair.
Yeah, the turn 0 just losing a quarter of your life is tough. I'm curious if there'll be ways to. There'll probably be some ways to mitigate that to some degree in commons. Like we had arcane polarity in Rosetta, for example.
But arcane polarity sounds really disgusting in this format, as every hero does arcane damage in this format.
Every hero did arcane damage in Rosetta.
Yeah, and then you know what happened in that format? The life gain Florian deck, when you got it together, was so bad. Like, it was so good that it made the format bad.
I think that's true, but I think like Earth was a big part of that. I think if it was, and Count Your Blessings, I think if it was just arcane polarity, it would have been acceptable. I think you can have like a little bit of life gain.
Okay, but not excessive amounts of life gain.
Yes. I think if they print too many cards that gain life, yeah, we'll have another Florian. Although none of the heroes have like good fatigue weapons, so that is a difference. But yeah, I think as long as they're careful with the life gain and prevention effects, having a little bit of it probably makes some sense.
Okay, that's fair. That's super fair. Okay, then let's go down. We have Cosmic Flare. So the next card is Cosmic Flare. It's a red pitch 0 cost lightning instant. Has no block value, but it says gain 3 resources on play. So for the Magic people out there, this is just a dark ritual for 0 mana, or it is just a dark ritual. Wait, no.
Yeah,
Dark ritual costs 1 in Magic, doesn't it?
this is kind of like a Lotus.
This is like a Black Lotus,
but it isn't a game where any of your blues make 3 resources. So the comparison is not quite there. But yeah, comparing Black Lotus and Magic is always like a funny comparison for Flesh and Blood for sure.
Yeah, like usually a third of your deck is Black Lotus.
So I think the question is like, you could play a blue 3 block, presumably, but instead you can choose to play a no block that has the upside of being a lightning instant that gains 3 resources. What are some of the advantages to playing a card like Cosmic Flare over a blue 3 block? Because it has a real cost of inclusion for blocking 0, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest upside is that you can arsenal this, right? If we remember the Mistveil heroes, that was one of their like biggest like upsides was being able to arsenal essentially a blue pitch in your arsenal by arsenaling cheese. And once you drew another chi, you got to pick up your arsenal chi and have like 6 resources in your hand. Cosmic Flare basically does the same thing, but now you don't even require you to draw like another lightning card with it. You just get to arsenal it and have 3 resources ready whenever you need it. That's kind of ridiculous, right?
It is really powerful. It lets you cheat a little bit on your resources. Like you can play a slightly lower blue count because you're able to arsenal a blue, and an arsenalable blue is a lot more flexible. Like normally your blue count is designed so that you draw the right number of blues on average each turn. But if you're able to arsenal a blue and save it, that obviously is going to shift the math a little bit. And you're going to be able to cut down on blue count a little bit if you're playing Cosmic Flare. The other thing this does is it has a lot of synergy with cards that care about playing instants. The best of the bunch is probably Gone in a Flash. I think if you play Gone in a Flash and then have a blue that bounces your Gone in a Flash, and then you have a good use for those resources, that's going to create some really powerful turns. You can also trigger like Blast to Oblivion or Flow State Embodiment to get an embodiment or a lightning flow. So yeah, I think if you're getting extra value out of these kind of synergy pieces that care about playing instants, it's another way that Cosmic Flare is more than kind of just a blue that is an instant and leaves your deck. I guess there's Ravenous Rabble as well. If you're playing Rabble, this is a blue that doesn't dilute Ravenous Rabble. It's probably not like a reason to play it on its own, but it's cute.
That is cute. That is kind of disgusting. Oh my god, I'll be so tilted if someone flips over Cosmic Flare to a Rabble and just be like, man, you got to play a blue pitch and it's like not making your Rabbles attack for 2 instead. That's kind of gross.
Yeah, it's definitely powerful. So yeah, Cosmic Flare is a cool card. I think seems like it has a lot of synergy. I expect that this will probably see play. If you're a Cilio, you can discard this card either to the new one to make a Ponder token. It does cost you 1, so it's probably like a Tunic play. Or you can old Acilio, cycle this away. Yeah, seems like a very synergistic and very kind of like cool card. That's just you just get some cool typing and some cool synergy out of it being an instant, like a blue instant in a weird way.
Oh, I just realized this Cosmic Flare and Aurora just turns into an embodiment of lightning if you have a lightning flow token as well, right? With the Garden Flash combo.
Yep. You can bounce it, make a embodiment, and then have a resource floating for quick strike or whatever.
Oh my god, that's disgusting.
Yeah. I think if you bounce a Gonano Flash and then you're able to use the 3 resources, it is pretty crazy. Like even if all you do is like Gonano Flash, go again, Cosmic Flare, CNC, you've done like a 3-card play that does 4 into a CNC, but then you get to arsenal the Gonano Flash, so it's kind of like a 2-card 10 with CNC. I think basically anytime you get to use these resources, it's going to be really, really impressive.
Yeah. I think the more I talk about Cosmic Flare, the better this card gets in my head. I guess the only downside, or the real downside, is it's a no block, so you are gonna become a little glass cannon-y, but you know.
It's sort of like a blue that if you can't use it, you get to arsenal it, but you kind of need to arsenal it. It's like a titanium bauble that doesn't block, kind of, right? But you can arsenal it is the upside for sure.
No, I think the best example is it's like a chi, right? Like the cheese that you just like always arsenaled it whenever you couldn't play it.
Yeah, it is a lot like a chi.
Yeah, and that was like super disgusting, like almost every time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot wrapped up in the chi where they also give you access to a very powerful hero ability. So yeah, there is that. But I think Cosmic Flare is still really good. But the chis also did have downside. Like there were times where you just like drew chi and died for it. So yeah, I think Cosmic Flare is going to be similar. It's very high upside, but there is a cost to including this in your deck. And I think you want like a number of synergy pieces for this card to really kind of make sense and be justified in your hero. But if you have enough of them, I think this will be a very powerful card.
Fair enough. Okay, now let's move on and talk about the next lightning instant, which will be Livewire Press. So this is also a no block, but this costs 1, and it says target lightning attack action card gets when this hits a hero, deal 4 damage to them.
So this card just makes me really sad. I want to just talk about that for a second. It's really sad that we just like have a lightning set and we got a lightning ranger card last set, but there's no Lexi in this set, and they name it after Lexi and she's in the flavor text, and this card is just terrible. Like this card is so bad. I think 1 for 4 on hit and then they can just like sink below you is just like, oh.
At least this card triggers like the on hits on the arrows again, right?
No,
like the old Lexi card on hits.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't it? I thought it was like whenever this card deals
damage. Oh, the lightning fuse cards. Sure. Yeah, the like frazzles.
Yeah. Exactly, like those cards, like the ice fuse ones that made you like pay an extra resource each time it hit. The things that work with shock charmers back in the day.
Yeah, it does do that. Maybe this will be a Silver Age card. I don't know. This card does make me really sad, though. I'm sorry. I was hoping that they'd include Lexi, and then they just include her in a card, and it's completely terrible. It's named after her. She's in the flavor text. She's in the art. It's so bad.
And they had the audacity to call this card Repress.
Yeah. Reading this card, I was just kind of like, man. LSS must be mad at me. Like, I feel like they could have just like not made the Lexi reference, but they gotta like rub it in that there's no Lexi in the set.
uh, it would be pretty funny though to play this card and just be like, I'm gonna press it. Like press my attack, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, I take 3 more? No, you take 4 more?" But it doesn't actually push it through, so unlucky.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we'll move on from this card. Next card will be Boots of Ominous Ward. So this card is a generic legendary equipment, and it blocks for 1 at base, but it says if you've been dealt arcane damage this turn, this gets +1 block value. Instant, you can tap your hero, destroy this, prevent the next 1 damage that will be dealt to you this turn, and it has temper. This card has a lot of text. Do you want to like quickly explain like briefly what it actually does?
Yeah, so if you've taken arcane damage already, this essentially turns into Temper 2. Temper 2 boots are just like pretty premium as a armor piece. Like if you could play Temper 2 boots, I think there's a lot of heroes that would just like slot that in. Quick Dodge Flexors is a card that we played in a lot of blue heavy heroes, and it blocks 2/2/2 with a card from your hand. So if the card was a block 3, it essentially blocks for 3, and Temper 2 just blocks for 3 and doesn't have to be against go wide heroes. So Temper 2 is really powerful, is basically what I'm trying to say in a boot slot. That being said, this is pretty much anti Runeblade, maybe Wizard, because you need to take arcane damage before there's physical damage to block, which Runeblade does a lot of. Wizard often does attacks into spells, or either attacks or spells, so this is not so good there. And then the second line of text is instant, tap your hero, destroy this, prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to you this turn. This is just kind of nice if they go wide. So you take an arcane damage, you've already blocked with the boots somewhere, you block with them for 1 on like a go again attack, and then you tap them, prevent the next after damage is dealt, notably because they get destroyed. You tap them, prevent the next 1 that would be dealt to you, and you'll kind of get like a 4th block point out of this. So this is potentially like block 4 boots against rune blades that everybody has access to if they want it. So if you are struggling with Aurora, this is probably a really good boot slot to consider.
But also, as a baseline, this card always blocks for 2, though, right? Like, even if your opponent doesn't do any arcane damage, because it's a temper 1 equipment, and then you get 1 more prevention.
Yeah, if they go wide. So could...
Well, oh, I see. Because it destroys this card, you have to actually resolve the damage from the first attack when you block with this.
Yeah. So yeah, you could potentially use it against like a ninja to stop 2 breakpoints. It's like a little awkward against Syndra because of flick knives, but yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Okay. So there might be some applications, but yeah, unless Aurora becomes tier 1, I don't think this boots will see play.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sideboard equipment slots for specific matchups are just like always a good consideration. So
yeah, fair enough. And it is a generic equipment, so basically anybody can play it at this point.
Yeah, and like right now it's like Aurora, but I mean like you can also consider this against Vincent, for example, and probably any future rune blades as well. And maybe the wizards, it kind of depends. If the wizards are doing arcane like with like the what is it? Sigil of Arcana that deals 1 at the start of your turn. If they have more effects like that, then this can start to become interesting as well. Yeah, they kind of need to be doing that and not just going attack spell. So yeah, mostly a Runeblade card at the moment. But yeah, potentially like even Ziggy potentially this maybe does something if he's doing arcane on your turn enough.
Honestly, this card seems really, really good into the current Acilio deck, right? Like the one that's like doing a bunch of arcane, a bunch of attacks, and ending on like a big spell as well. So that you can like kind of do all of these like points of effects here.
It's okay. It kind of only works against the blue sigil that I was mentioning, though. Maybe if they shock you and then do more spells, but I think a lot of times that deck is doing a bunch of attacks and then a spell.
You're right.
Yeah, you kind of need like arcane damage and then attacks for this to really, really work. So Like maybe you could maybe play this against Cecilio. It's not terrible, but it's like not the easiest to turn on either. It would be it'd have to be Sigil of Ether or like a shock into like another spell kind of situation, which does come up and is relevant. But yeah.
On with the list. Next card is Browbeat. This is a blue 0 cost, 1 power, 3 block. But this card reads, oh, and is a generic attack action. And this card reads, this gets +1 for each card in your hand. So, how do we explain this card? This is like,
basically, this is like a blue that you can arsenal if you're a deck that gets go again. Because if you get to arsenal this and you give it go again, this is a blue 0 for 5, which is crazy. Like if you start your turn with it.
as a baseline, this card is just going to be like a blue 3 block most of the time, though, right?
Yeah. Most of the time it's a blue 3 block, but I think blue 3 blocks that can be situationally powerful are usually pretty good cards. I don't think this will be an every hero kind of card. Probably all of the lightning heroes can consider it, depending on how many embodiment of lightning they're making.
Yeah. I guess the biggest question is like how easy is it to make an embodiment of lightning? Because if you can easily make embodiment of lightning, this card is like it feels like an auto include.
Yeah, exactly. And I suspect this is probably good in Aurora, because I think Aurora really has this problem of like you want blues sometimes, but you need the flows for the blues to be like relevant and you need to have the go again. So ideally your blues have like other modes or ways of converting, because you kind of just like you just have like hands that want to play as like red line. Like original Aurora was like that too. You just like have hands where you want to just go like 4 4 4 4. And having a blue can be kind of clunky. But I think that if you have a blue like Browbeat that you can arsenal and then can potentially be like kind of like a lava burst, except you start your turn with it, is really powerful. And you can potentially snaps this, and if like you're in a pinch, seems like a really cool card.
Oh yeah, you can use Snapdragons on this. It does kind of feel like a waste because you have so many cards that wants to gain go again, but I guess this is another card that wants to gain go again.
Yeah. I think a lot of time you'll probably like block for 3 with this if you don't need it. But if you're ending your turn on an embodiment, or honestly even just like you have an extra blue and you convert the rest of your hand, you'll probably be pretty decently happy arsenaling this.
Yeah, if you have like 2 blues, including 1 Browbeat, you pitch one of them to make an embodiment of lightning. You arsenal the Browbeat pass. That's pretty powerful. You are kind of locked into keeping your whole hand though, right? Like whenever you arsenal Browbeat, you're like needing your opponent to not have like disruption or a way to force you to block.
To some degree, yeah. I think even if you block one card and this is a blue 0 for 4, you're still fine.
Okay, yeah, you're right. A 0 for 4 is fine. 0 for 4 is fine.
Yeah, it's not like super above rate, but it's like basically like a red that's a blue, which is like I think you're still very happy with that. So yeah, and it also means you can play it from hand. If you have go again Browbeats in your hand, it's just a 0 for 4, and that is like, so you don't always have to arsenal this card either. You could just like have an embodiment, draw this, and then maybe you go like, I don't know, Browbeat, Flittering Charge, Lightning Press, Snatch or something, and that's like a pretty good hand.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so those are most of the main set cards we want to talk about today, and then we'll just move on to the expansion slots. There's a lot of different expansion slot cards this time, and we'll start from the top to bottom with the on the February spoilers page, but we won't talk about every single card here. Where do you want to start, Yuki?
We'll start with Unmake the Underlings. This is an assassin action. They're all Majestics. 0 for 1, block 3, blue. It's stealth, and it says when this attacks a hero, turn an ally in their graveyard face down. When this hits an ally, destroy that ally. Notably, you kind of have to pick one or the other, because if you attack the ally to destroy it, you're not attacking a hero, but it is either kind of like a blue 0 cost, 1 power gravekeeping, which is pretty solid ally hate against gravy, and it can also kind of single-handedly kill, like, let's say a chum. You do run into Fearless, of course, with 1 power, and that is like a concern or consideration with this card, but seems like a pretty powerful ally hate piece that can be in your blue base that you can potentially like codex for if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think this card's okay, but Do you really want to play this card in any of the assassins? Like, this feels like such a narrow card that I guess if you really wanted to beat Gravy, you could play, but I feel like there's like almost always better other stealth cards if you're going to be playing the stealth package.
Yeah, I mean it's a card that you board for gravy, right? Like you play this card for gravy, or you could put it in your blue base and it has costs in other matchups, but you get to have points into gravy basically.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe honestly, if it was me, I might play one in my deck and just like make sure I have an out to Humperdinck by playing Unmake the Underlings. But man, this card is so it's fighting against Prognosis. It's fighting against like any of the other blue stealth cards, and that's actually like kind of a big cost for me.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I think this seems pretty solid to me considering gravy has been a problem for assassins like basically always.
Mhm.
Um yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I'm just like not that impressed. I wish this was a red. Honestly, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I wish this card was a red.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. You get more flexibility by it being a blue, but then you don't lose to fearless. It is kind of cool that you can like play Codex of Frailty into a chum, and then if they activate chum, you can get this and clear the chum, and if they don't activate chum, you get to leave no witnesses them. So the timing on that is kind of nice.
Oh yeah, yeah, that is true. That is true. You can always clear chum with this. I think the biggest thing would be that like the higher health allies were a big problem for all the assassins, and this is kind of a clear out to that now.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's one that can live in your blue base, and you can Codex, which yeah, I think it's relevant. If you want points into gravy, you can play this. Clearly, like a sideboard card. I mean, it could be a main deck card because it's a blue block 3 stealth card. So like you could always main deck it. You'll just give up the opportunity cost of playing a different blue stealth card or a different blue.
Yeah, yeah. I think you might have to mainboard it. That's kind of usually like the sideboard
Mhm.
pieces and assassins have to be for these like blue base 3 blocks.
Yeah, yeah, but having options. I mean, like that's kind of Assassin's whole thing, right? Is like having options of different attacks that you customize for your different matchups depending on the metagame. And this feels like very much that kind of tool. So you can, if there's a lot of gravy in the meta, you can put this in your blue base, and I think that'll make a lot of sense.
Hmm. And also, once Dromai comes back, it also kills the dragon allies.
Yep. Yeah. So it's not just gravy either. Yeah, I don't think it's like the craziest card in the world, but I think it is like a solid sideboard piece.
Yeah, fair enough. This next card I'm pretty excited about. It's called Feral Instinct. It's a yellow 3 cost 6 power 3 block. It's a brute action attack, and it says if you've intimidated an opponent this turn, this costs 3 less to play. So in Rhinar, this card is just a 0 for 6.
Yeah. Yeah. You need some other effect to combine with it, but very impressive.
Yeah, it's not. It's like it's not too hard to intimidate your opponent, and I think one of the things was like when you played Bloodrush Bellow, you had to kind of like find a way to convert your hand essentially with your claws and stuff like that. But Feral Instinct just is a 0 cost, so you get to play it as a 0 for 8 after you Bloodrush Bellow. This card's kind of insane, no?
Yeah, you need the action points still.
Yo, you become Eugene and you roll that Scabskins.
Yeah, that's true. It's also potentially pretty interesting off of like if you have this in Arsenal and you have sand sketch plans, you can do some kind of like small hand plays where you, I don't know, use sand sketch for like a beast within off of one card. You get a card back, and then you get to play this for 6 and like swing your. I've seen some meat axe decks. You get to swing your meat axe if you keep a resource card, or I don't know. Maybe you could get like Skullcrack. You discard the Skullcrack. You get a. That doesn't quite work. You get what I'm saying. I think that there's like some interesting plays here off of Sand Sketch Plan where you might be able to do like 2 card 11s kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the biggest thing though is that like Rhinar usually has to pay some resources to swing an attack.
Yep.
And this card kind of single-handedly solves that problem of this doesn't cost any resources, so you don't actually need any resources to attack with this.
So long as you can intimidate, yeah. Good synergy with barraging beatdown too. Like you go like 3 barragings, Feral Instinct.
Oh, 3 barraging Feral Instinct is disgusting.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, very cool card. And Reiner just like plays these yellow 3 block 6 powers to get enough 6 power density because you only have access to, was it like 6 blues? So you're just kind of like priced into playing some amount of this kind of stat line anyways, and this one just has like huge upside.
Yeah, huge upside, huge upside. Yeah, a 0 for 6 is like that is just like no joke.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. This card's like definitely very impressive, and I think the type of card that we are only able to start getting because Mandible Clause is gone.
That's super fair. That's super fair. Oh man, I wish we had this and Mandible Claws. Oh, wow, that'd be so unfair.
Be very, very unfair, yeah.
Okay, the next card to talk about is Power Driver. I'm excited for this card, but man, the more I think about this card, the worse this card gets. So Power Driver is a Betsy specialization guardian weapon, 2-handed, and it's a log for some reason, and it attacks for 6. And it's action pay 4, tap it to attack, and then when it attacks, you may wager a gold token with the defending hero.
It's a log because she has a log in her art, doesn't she?
Yeah, but now you can't pummel it.
That's true.
It's like actually a huge downside on this card that you can't pummel it.
Maybe they should have made like a hammer log.
Yeah, that would be so sweet if they made it a hammer log. They if they just like put like a little like stick in the middle of it, it's gonna be a hammer log.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that you can't pummel it. I was like, oh, it's sweet flavor, but yeah, I guess it does have some real cost.
Yeah, so I've been like thinking about how to make Betsy playable. And then I think every single time I'm like looking through the card pools, thinking about this deck, thinking about like how to like make Pile Driver like better, and like how to make like the Guardian, like the Betsy deck good. And you always come down to like you kind of want to pummel, right? Because if you pummel, you usually win the wager. You get a bunch of gold, you get a bunch of might tokens, and you make your opponent discard if it's an attack action card. But then one of the main things with pummel was that you can always use it on like your sledge or your Titan's Fist to just convert the pummel if you needed to. Pile Driver says no, you're not allowed to do that, but you still need to play pummel and Betsy if you want to be like anything close to aggressive. Do we have to play some like weird fatigue pile Betsy? But that's like just not kind of what the flavor of Betsy wants to be. So a little bit disappointed in the typing. I kind of hope that, or I kind of think that Betsy needs like 1 or 2 more cards after Pile Driver, but it's one step in the right direction.
I agree with that. There is like some hypothetical endgame loop with this and Chapeau where once you win, you can like Chapeau off 1 card and this, and you can do like 7. And keep doing like 7 off of 1 card. Although if they block it, they get a Golden Might and a Vigor, which is a lot, and it does get shut down by a 3 block and a D-react. So it is pretty risky. But yeah, it's interesting to have like a weapon that fuels Chapeau and can be an outlet for Chapeau as well. I don't know if that is like good enough in and of itself, but I imagine that there will be spots where that comes up.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think this card's really interesting. Slightly not good enough.
Yeah. I don't think this is suddenly making Betsy tier 1, but yeah, what I will say is that Victor Goldmane is getting somewhat close to LL, and then I think after that you look towards either Betsy or Valda. Probably Valda, but maybe Betsy.
Yeah, I think Betsy has some cope. I believe.
All right, let's go on to the next cards. There's actually 3 of them. These are all, so there's a cycle of these legendary ninja shurikens. They are all blue 2 blocks. Blue 2-block ninja instants. They're shuriken items, and they attack for 1. They're also all legendary. They all have action, pay 1, tap this, destroy this when the combat chain closes, attack, go again. So they're kind of like Kodachi swings that you can swing once, and then the combat chain closes, they break. And they also all have an additional effect. So one of them says this can't be defended by an equipment or reaction cards. One of them says, when this hits a hero, the next action card they defend with this combat chain gets -1 until end of turn. So this is like a Spider's Bite. And then Stun Star says, when this hits a hero, tap them. These are pretty interesting, especially with like the gloves that just got printed in Compendium, Wind Cutters, where you can, if you've hit twice, you can pay a resource, search your deck for a shuriken, and put it into play. Before that just was like the Silver Wind Shuriken that gives a combo card +1 as a reaction. But now you can also tutor for these like pseudo Kodachis. I'm pretty interested in these cards. I think that like I don't know if these are really good enough in Katsu, to be honest, because it's sort of like you have Kodachis. When do you want to like? Do you really want to swing 3 Kodachis that much? How many of these Shurikens do you want to have in your deck? They're not combo cards. A million reasons as these are like not super impressive there, but I think in Ira these are kind of interesting. And the biggest synergy piece is that they are blue attacks for the purposes of Prismatic Leyline. So you can start considering something like Prismatic Leyline and does it become the cup or is it the bottle?
Oh, the one of them that changes the color.
It changes the color. So you can potentially like run Become the Cup as like a head trap that has synergy with Prismatic Leyline. And then you have these, which are like blues that are tutorable because yeah, that will take care of that. So if you like play the red Become the Cup, name yellow, you get the red and the yellow, and then the shuriken satisfies the blue, for example, and then you get to play like a 0 for 6, and 0 for 6s are great. The other thing that this does is I think it makes scrap a lot more reliable because you have a 1 power that you can tutor and pretty easily gets to the graveyard. So I think scrap was always like a card that was like in and out of Ira, but even if you make all your blues 1 powers, it's sometimes clunky. But I think if you have these that you can tutor, it will just increase your scrap consistency by quite a bit, I would imagine. So yeah, I don't know. I think in like a more aggressive Ira shell, this is kind of interesting.
Okay, those are actually really interesting points. I kind of like wrote these cards off quite early when I saw them, but all of those points you just said kind of makes me re-interested in these cards. But still, again, though, these cards are pretty low impact, right?
Yeah, they're low impact. They get to sit in your blue base though, which is nice. And Ira is like often playing like either Shuko and like triggering Shuko like once in a game, maybe, or sometimes like the Tiger ones. I guess they're also Shuko tearing Shuko. So like I feel like Ira's gloves are like not super great. So playing Wind Cutter could potentially be kind of reasonable.
Okay, interesting. I kind of like that they also block for 2, just in case you draw them.
And they're instant, so you know, going second, you can play these on your opponent's turn or something like this.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, okay. This is like an interesting inclusion, I think. I assume these are going to be kind of randomly hard to open because they're legendary cycles, so.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Next card, you want to talk about Gear Turner?
Yeah, I think Gear Turner is pretty good. 1 for 5 Mechanologist attack action card, blocks for 3, it comes in red. When this hits, you may search your deck for a cog, put it into the arena, shuffle. Notably, I think the only cog we have is the blue cog that comes in with 2 counters, and you can crank it to get your action point. So this is like a 1 for 5 that either puts a cog into play or with 2 counters, or puts a cog into play with 1 counter and then has go again, which is pretty good. I think this is like a nice piece for Pirate Puffin, which is a deck that hasn't quite been there, but starting to feel close with like Cheating Scoundrel, and this is like another card that puts it there. And I still don't know if Pirate Puffin's there, but I feel like the deck's getting really close, and it's probably at least worth looking at right now.
Do you know the thing that first comes to mind when I read these types of abilities is that if I like block this out, it doesn't do anything, but very late in the game, once you get to fatigue, they might not even have a copper cog left in their deck.
That is true.
Which means it's just a 1 for 5 with no text.
Sure.
I always look at cards from like a fatigue standpoint all the time, and man, Gear Turner is like a card that doesn't help with the fatigue problem.
No, it doesn't help with the fatigue problem, but I think it does help with the deck. Like, what do you do when you don't have cogs?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You do need to have a cog in on play somehow for that deck to even start running. But once you do have it, it's really powerful.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is another card that kind of like, if you have cogs, you can use this and get more cogs and kind of keep yourself set up. And if you don't have a play, this is sort of like a 1 for 5 that they have to block. And I don't know, you can pump this, you put Cheating Scoundrel on this. It's like pretty nasty to block.
Okay.
Eight
Okay.
is eight is just a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's a reasonable stat line too. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I don't think it's like the best card ever, but I think it is like another. It's just like another piece for that deck. I think.
Yeah, I kind of wish that this card had the ability to like tap a cog and give it +1. That would have been nice.
Yeah, if it had some kind of ability like this, I think this card would be like great.
Yeah.
But I think even without it, I suspect that this card will see play in Pirate Puffin specifically.
Oh, this card is a mechanologist attack. It's not a pirate card.
Yeah, you could potentially play this in like a Cog Dio build, which I think like I want to say like Mara Ferris was experimenting with. So there's stuff you could do there.
Okay, we'll move on and we'll talk about your spoiler card next. This is Settle the Bill. It's 1 cost, red, and it's a ranger action, box for 3. And it says you may put an arrow from your hand face up into your arsenal. If you do, until end of turn, it gets +3 power. And when this hits a hero, destroy a card in their arsenal. Go again. So turns an arrow into Command and Conquer. Sweet.
Yeah, I was really high on this card, and then I realized something really unfortunate about this card that I don't know if it makes it unplayable, but it very well might make it unplayable. You may put an arrow from your hand face up into your arsenal, and if you do, it gets is really unfortunate because it basically means that if you don't load an arrow off of this, you don't get the +3, you don't get the destroy arsenal. So you have to load an arrow off of this for it to have an effect, which means it doesn't work with Codex of Frailty, and it kind of doesn't work with 3 of a kind. I guess like you can settle the bill, load an arrow, then 3 of a kind for the resources, but not so flexible. So I think the fact that you have to load an arrow off of this is pretty unfortunate. That being said, it is a strong arsenal. It does make like Marlin's Goldfin Harpoon into essentially like a shallow water shark harpoon. You have 3-card hand, activate Marlin, load it, harpoon. You have 9, destroy their arsenal with overpower. Does block 3, so I think there are a lot of good sides of this card. Like it's kind of like more threat density in a way. Why did they make it have to load the arrow? This reminds me of like Point the Tip. They made like Point the Tip as like a +3 get an aim counter, but you have to target an arrow in a face-up arrow in your arsenal. So you like just can't play it if there isn't a face-up arrow in your arsenal. This card reminds me of like that card where there's just like this, it reads really powerful, and then there's just this like weird, super specific condition, and if you don't have that condition, your card just like doesn't function. And Ranger's like already a little bit clunky. And I think that like often these things are like kind of death sentences. That being said, +3 destroy a card in their arsenal on hit is really powerful text, and reload is also powerful text. It's not exactly reload, but it's very close. So I don't know. Maybe you like need New Horizons for this card or something.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, when I read it the first time, I thought it was really good too. And then now you explain it to me, I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah.
There's just going to be like a bunch of spots where this doesn't do what you want it to do, which is really, really tragic.
It really is tragic, huh?
Yeah, I think they could have just said, instead of if you do, it gets, they could just say your next arrow attack gets +3, and when this hits a hero, destroy a card in their arsenal. And I think this card would be like really good, but fine. Like I don't think it's too good.
I kind of wish what you're explaining might be a little bit too good. I kind of wish that if it was like a 1 cost and the +3 was always there, but then you have to load the arrow from hand to get the destroy the arsenal text.
Sure, yeah, they could also go that way where it's just like always a come to fight, and then you have to load the arrow to get the arsenal text. That would also be reasonable. But the fact that you get nothing if you don't load an arrow is really, this is tough.
Man, it just doesn't work with like half the ranger pool, huh?
Yeah, it doesn't work with Codex and 3 of a kind.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of the 4 block that like banishes an arrow from your hand and then like puts it back.
Yeah, that card also like kind of isn't good because it's too, once again, it's like too situational and very situational ranger cards are usually a problem because your class is already kind of situational with like having to get your attack into arsenal to send it, and like you want to arsenal some attacks. Like Marlin has trouble loading, so you want to arsenal attacks, and then if your arsenal's not free, the card's just a 4 block and you can't arsenal it off a ponder. So it just like has all these problems, and like Settle the Bill I think is like kind of similar. You're just gonna like draw it in spots where like it's not gonna do what you want it to do, or you like ponder this or just decide to arsenal this and you draw a hand and that hand has Codex of Frailty, and then this is just a card that you have to pay for 1 resource to clear it from your hand. It is really nice that you can always use Marlin's hero ability and turn this into like a 3-card 9 overpower destroy your arsenal. That, if anything saves this card, is that it has a really high floor with Marlin's hero ability. It just turns, it's just like, it's another shallow water shark harpoon as long as you have gold. So maybe that will save this card is kind of where I'm at with it.
Oh, okay. So this is actually just the Marlin card in disguise.
I think so. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I don't think Riptide wants this card, but maybe like, who knows? If there's another go wide ranger, maybe you can consider this where you like pay 1, load a swift shot, 7 go again on hit destroy your arsenal, then you get like your regular load. But we just like don't have another. I'm sorry, I don't really consider Riptide like that much of a real hero right now. So we just like don't really have another ranger to think about at the moment.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I'm not too excited about the next 2 cards. What about you? Or next 3 cards, next 4 cards actually.
I think Red Lure Harpoon is really good. I think the other 3 are kind of
Sure, let's talk about Red Lure Harpoon then. So Red Lure Harpoon is a blue 2-cost 4 power. It's a Pirate Ranger action arrow attack. So as we're talking about Marlin, this is a Marlin card, and it blocks for 3. But this says, if you've activated a cannon this turn, this gets, when this hits a hero, banish a red action card from their graveyard. You may play it until the end of your next turn. So this gets to steal a red from your opponent's graveyard. I guess it has to be an action card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Marlin kind of wants threat density in her blue base because your reds are really highly contested and you're a deck that wants to play like 33, 35 blues in that range if you're playing Cannon Marlin. So having threat density in your blue base is really good. And I think the thing that makes this card work is Sealace Sarong, being able to flip this up and give it go again. When this has go again, it becomes a lot more flexible because you get to choose a card, a red card, so probably a good card from them that you're then going to play. And I think just most heroes are going to have something good that you can steal and play. In the Marlin Mirror, it doesn't work on any of the arrows, but you could steal like a 3 of a kind after this, which is pretty crazy. If Marionette doesn't want to block this, you can leave no witnesses them after it. Syndra has a million different reds you could play. Even Guardian, Marlin's a deck that has enough blues that you could like pitch 2 blues, send this with go again. If they don't block it, you get to like red boulder drop them or something. So I think is like,
you still have to pay the cost on the cards though.
Yeah, you have to pay the cost. But I mean, like, I think the fact that you get to choose the card just means you're going to be able to find something. And you can play this off of 2 blues. So, I mean, I don't think having like an extra card to play like a red is like that challenging.
Okay, that's fair.
This is kind of like a 6 cost 8 go again that on hit you get to essentially draw a card, but it's like a red from their graveyard, and you do have to be able to like spend it well, actually you don't have to spend it that turn. You can spend it even on the next turn as well, but I think this is just like a really good blue.
Okay, interesting. Does Marlin currently play Sealace Sarsong?
Yeah, Sealace Sarong is like the default for her. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't get overpower because it's like not a harpoon, but I also just think, oh no, it is. It has harpoon in the name. I thought it had to have harpoon in the typing. So like, yeah, this is just kind of like 8 go again, overpower, better snatch for the most part.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Because you always get to choose what card you want to take. So you always get to take the best card in their graveyard.
The best like red action card in the graveyard, yeah.
Yeah, best red action card.
I think is pretty universal. And when it's not universal, it's still a blue 3 block that is like a 4 power harpoon, which is like sometimes you just need to like in Marlin, sometimes it's just like I need to not whiff on an arrow, and this is just like another blue that lives in your blue base that is an arrow that can do the harpoon overpower thing if you have like a pump 3 of a kind turn or whatever. So it's like a consistency piece that is, I think, really high ceiling. You play this against a brute, you steal like swing big. That's kind of insane. Steal like mocking blow against Lyath. I've seen that happen. It's kind of hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. I think this card's like really powerful.
Okay, yeah. Actually, the more you talk about it, the better this card sounds. Actually, it's like a two. It's like a blue base. It's a blue 6 for 8. So that's like regular. What's it called? The Guardian attacks.
It's like a Thunderquake.
Oh yeah, Thunderquake. So it's like a blue Thunderquake that has on hit get 4 value, usually 4 value plus from your opponent.
And overpower too, right? Because it's a harpoon. So it's like not trivial to block.
Okay. Interesting.
I think the fact that you can give it go again is huge. Like I think that is, yeah. I think this, like you arsenal this, you see like Sarong it is where it's at its best. There will be spots where you 3 of a kind and play this, and then maybe your next turn looks like you either get like a go again card from them, or you block down and play like a guardian attack, depending on the matchup. So, but yeah, I think the fact that you can play it on their next turn is like also some upside. But the go again, I think, makes this like really really interesting.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, then let's move on and talk about the next interesting card, which will be Draco Fire. This is a Draconic instant 0 cost, doesn't block, and it says your next Draconic attack this turn gets +2 and costs 1 less to play or activate. It also has a graveyard ability. It says while this card is in your graveyard, at the start of your turn, you may banish 2 cards named Draco Fire from your graveyard, and if you do, gain a resource. So this is like, it's very similar to the Draconic defense reaction, that if you have 2 copies in your graveyard, you can draw a card. So it's very similar to that card. And you said this, you think this card is very powerful?
Yeah, I think this card is kind of like, I'm interested in both Syndra and Fang kind of solely off of this card. I think so. Let's start with Syndra. Syndra lost Brand with Cinderclaw and Wrath of Retribution, and has been like sort of fringe playable. She's done like okay at a bunch of callings. She's kind of been like the 5th most represented deck and not quite top 8'd, but like maybe some top 16 copies kind of deal. But I think the big thing is she's been missing some consistency from having that starter in Brand with Cinderclaw. And this is just a starter when you want it to be. So this doesn't make the next thing Draconic. It doesn't block. It has its downsides. But as long as you have a dagger, you can play this and swing your dagger for 3 go again, because your attack costs 1 less to play or activate. So it's like the same wording as Ignite. So this will discount your dagger. And this is basically just a head jab so long as you have a kunai, a Draconic head jab. It's a little bit like it does force you to swing the dagger. So if you can't buy back the dagger, it has a cost, and it is a no block. But I still think another Draconic starter is really big for that deck. And you can also use it to play a 1 cost, kind of like Blood Splattered Vest, and it doesn't break the chain because it's an instant. So if you already have a starter, you could do something like, I don't know, head jab into Draco Fire, Hunt the Hunter for 7 and Threaten Mask. So we'll pay for the 1 cost and buff up the power of the attack, which kind of like potentially lets you play a few more 1 costs, because now you have Ignite, Draco Fire, and Blood Splattered Vest to pay for your 1 cost. And then when this is once you have 2 of them in the graveyard, you also get another sort of like Blood Splattered Vest resource that you can just get whenever you want. It has to be at the start of your turn, but like, you can plan your turn, not that hard. Or if you miss a starter later on and you have 2 of these, you can banish 2 and swing your dagger for 1 and have a guaranteed starter as well. So that's like, yeah, I think this card is just doing a lot of consistency for Syndra. It's just like another very good starter for her. It does have its downsides, but I think it's like super powerful in Syndra.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think the one clear downside of it is that it just doesn't block, right? So,
Yeah.
Syndra already had a lot of two blocks because he needs to play the starters, but this starter in particular really doesn't block.
Yeah, yeah. So it does have its downsides, but I think she's been like kind of desperate for a draconic starter, and I think this is a overall pretty good one. It has, I think the upsides are like pretty real, is what I would say. The ability to like pay for one cost and buff them and potentially push mass like really unpleasant mass triggers is really strong, and also just like fix resources later in the game, because sometimes you spend all your vest counters and then you have these one costs that are super clunky, and just having like access to one more of those is actually pretty powerful, I think.
Okay, and you can also arsenal this card, right?
Yep. Yeah. You can also just arsenal it. So yeah, I'm pretty high on this card. I think it's really good. You can also just like, it's not like what you want to be doing in Syndra, but you can just like play this, play Hunt the Hunter. You have a 2-card 7, mark them. It's totally fine. You don't threaten mask or anything, but like it's totally fine. So yeah, I think this is pretty impressive. We can talk Fang next. I think it's also really good in Fang, but maybe for different reasons.
Oh yeah, that Fang is a lot easier to imagine with this card. You play this card, your next axe is free. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, notably, so most of your draconic reactions are 0 for 2s, but they're essentially 0 for 3s, because if you play a draconic, you get +1 and go again from the obsidian firebane, the dagger. So this is like a on rate reaction once you're online. But when you're not online, it also just helps you pay for your weapons. And I think Fang's biggest problem is like, well, one of them is that you have a ramp up time and you need to get online. But I think the other big problem that Fang has is like, when you're not online, you kind of want resource cards. Like you kind of want blues and yellows to pay for your daggers, so you can swing 2 daggers and not have to pitch reds and feel terrible. But then once you're online, those blues are kind of also terrible because Warrior doesn't have the best blues, and just like now you have like overcrowded, and that's pretty good because it's like a blue 3 block you can arsenal. But like for the most part, like your blues are just kind of like dead cards that you have to just block away. And Draco Fire is good at both points. When you're not online, like if you have an all red hand, you can pitch a red, swing a dagger, Draco Fire, give it go again, swing your next dagger, and it kind of makes your red that you pitched into like a blue, or at least enough to fuel 2 dagger swings, which is huge. And when you're online, yeah, like it's an instant and it's only +3 go again, so it's nothing like, it's probably like your worst reaction. But like, if you play this on a dagger, you play this a 1-card hand, you go like 4 go again 1 or whatever, reset dynamo. It's just like a very solid card. You have better attack reactions with like other on hits for sure, but it's still on rate and it helps your early game. And I think that is like, it kind of solves like one of Fang's problems. So I see this as like a really good card.
It also is like, it pumps the next attack, so it gives the current attack go again and pumps the next attack. So it gives like the what is that card that pumps for 3 on your next attack?
Tooth of the Dragon.
Yeah, it's like another Tooth of the Dragon, right? Where it doesn't actually pump the current attack. So if you like force your opponent to block 6 on the first attack, and then the next dagger just comes in for like way bigger.
Yeah. It makes it like hard to block Fang properly, and now you have like another card that does that effect. So the banish 2 of them to get a resource is like not as interesting in Fang. Maybe you can start considering playing, like I saw Brody Spurlock playing a list that had like Hunt the Hunters and like a few extra blues, and I'm curious if you can like replace some blues with Draco Fire, because it's like kind of a resource card, and then play Hunt the Hunter. Once again, that like play I was talking about in Syndra, 2-card 7, mark them, is actually just like really good in Fang when you're not online. That's like exactly what you want to be doing. If you draw the Hunt the Hunter later in the game when you're online, you can potentially like banish 2 Draco Fires to play it.
What if people started playing Art of the Dragon Fire with Draco Fire? Is that kind of sick?
You could. It's a card that's like only good when you have extra fealties, is what I'll say. Because
yeah, but like you play like one Art of the Dragon Fire in your deck, and then play your 3 Draco Fire. You're gonna end up having your Draco Fire in your graveyard at some point in the game. And
Yeah.
then what?
I said, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. It is a 1 card 7 once it's online. So
Yeah, so it's like it's just gonna be like a 7 on its own at the very end of the game, right? Like that's kind of sick. You pitch stack it, or it's a 3 block. You block for 3. It's like it's kind of interesting.
you could even draw it like first. Like if you're online, you could draw Draco Fire plus Art of Dragonfire, and it would work as long as you have the fealty for it.
Yeah. It is cracking your fealty is expensive, but like typically at the end of the game or near the end of the game, I feel like Fang usually has like 5, 6 fealties sometimes.
Yeah, they often have a few cards like Scar Tissue, maybe Blade Flurry. They typically have like a few of these non-draconic warrior cards because they have like a little bit better rate, and then you can make them draconic in a pinch. But yeah, maybe you can consider like a costed card like Art of the Dragonfire that's above rate, or Hunt the Hunter that helps you get online and is still a 0 for 5 off of this resource. I think there is like this question of like what do you want to do with this resource, and finding a cool outlet for that would probably help get a bit of extra value. But I think even without that, it's like pretty strong. So yeah, I think that this card, like, hard to say exactly how much it improves Fang, but I think it is very meaningful.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. Honestly, Draco Fire is a really great design on a card. It's not like just like it's not obviously broken, but it's one of those cards like it feels like it's a consistency piece. It's like it can be over like above rate, and but it does like it kind of feels like a deck building restriction at the same time. So I kind of really like the design on this card.
Yeah, I think it's like powerful, but not every draconic hero wants this. Like I don't think this is good in Fi, for example.
Hmm.
And it is an instant that doesn't block. That's a red. So like there's a real cost to including this deck, including this card in your deck. But yeah, I think this is a great card.
Yeah, it's not like Red Lure Harpoon, right? Where they just clearly printed a card that's like it's so good. This card is like not that. Like it's not just like straight up broken.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah, I do have some problems with cards that are just like straight up broken, like Codex of Frailty and stuff like that. I'll play them when they get printed, but like the deck building concept of TCGs kind of get broken away, right? Like you just have to play that card now.
yeah. I think it is okay to have like a few powerful cards that are just like obviously like you play this card, but I think that you really don't want too many of those, or it gets pretty uninteresting to build decks. Like if half your deck is auto includes, there's like not that much room to explore things. And
Mm-hmm.
so I agree with you that having these cards that feel like they have trade offs and are a little more in the middle are a lot more interesting.
Okay, then let's talk about the last card on this list. Lionclaw Maul. This is a essentially this is just a Lyath weapon. It is one-handed, 1 power, and has action. Pay 2, tap it, attack, and it says if this has power greater than its base, it gets +1. And when this hits a hero, the crowd boos you. And whenever Lyath says the crowd boos you, you make a might token.
And it is reviled guardian weapon, so at the moment only Eliath can play it, and it is the hammer that's in his art. So
First off, this card you can pummel, which is like so nice, unlike the log. But what do you think about this card? This card is like interesting. Is it actually better than Titan's Fist? I have like so many questions. Like it costing 2, is that meaningful? So
yeah,
many questions about this card.
I'm also not totally sold on this card. So Titan's Fist swings for essentially 3. It gets half down to 2. Then if you pitch a 3 cost, it goes up to 3. This card, if it's greater than its base, it gets +1. That's going to be really easy to turn on because typically if you're blocking, you are activating Lyath, which will make a might, and will turn this effect on. So and if you're not blocking, you're probably doing some pumps. So it's like hard to imagine you really wanting to attack with this at the start of your turn and it not being online. Is what I'll say. So it's basically a 0 for 2 on hit, create a might, which is a lot like a 0 for 3. It frees up your blue base for sure. Like you don't have to play three costs in your blue base, so you potentially get to consider cards like, I don't know, Warmonger's Diplomacy, or just like whatever you want, really, that normally you wouldn't be able to play, you can now consider playing. Is, I think, one of the bigger upsides of this card. You can pitch yellows to it, I guess, and Lioth does play yellows, so 2 costs could matter there. And there's potentially the curve of pairing it with a 1 cost. I think the best 1 cost to pair with it is probably Revolting Gesture. It's +3, make a might. And so if you combine these, you kind of get 2 card, 5 damage, make a might, and on hit, make a might. So it's like a baseline 2 card 7 if you hit, which is reasonable. And there are some other +3s that exist as well that you could combine with this. So you could really lean into that if you wanted to. Technically curves with Razor Reflex, but if you Razor Reflex, this doesn't necessarily have higher power than its base. So
I don't know if you can Razor Reflex this card, right?
you can't Razor Reflex this, but you can attack with something, Razor Reflex it, then swing the Lionclaw Maul.
But then it doesn't have the +1 power.
Yeah, then it doesn't. Exactly. Then how are you getting the power on it? But I mean, maybe just being able to swing it for 1 and on hit boo as like an onboard thing is like, okay. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure about the Razor Reflex part in particular, but it does technically curve with it.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, this card is one of those things where it's like, man, it has so much interesting text on it. It kind of does everything that you want it to do, but at the same time, I kind of don't know what this kind of enables on Lioth, and it doesn't feel like it actually enables anything, at least to my knowledge.
I mean, I do think that Revolting Gesture or other 1 for 3 pumps that you could play or like 1 for 4 pump style cards get a lot more appealing with Lionclaw Maul. So you get access to like a new kind of cost of pumps, and freeing up your blue base, I think, is like probably the 2 biggest things that this weapon does. But you can also potentially you can play like Tension in the Air, red Tension in the Air off of a blue and a tunic counter with this, or you could play like Active Glory off of 2 blues with this. So there are ways for the 2 costs to matter, but I don't know. I don't know if this suddenly makes Lioth good, I guess. I don't know how much of a power bump this is. I think it will make it a little better. I think it gives you some new deck building options, but it doesn't seem like a huge power increase.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, yeah, you are right. Like, you can play now like blue Mocking Blows pretty comfortably. You can start playing like Escalate Violence pretty comfortably, which were cards that the Titan's Fist didn't let you play before.
2 steps ahead. I think Warmonger's Diplomacy. I think that you do get like a lot more flexibility with your blue base, which is, I think, pretty real. You can play like Ripple Away. Yeah, I think getting utility in your blues is really powerful in Flesh and Blood in general.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
It's like one of those things that's like, it's not exciting or splashy, being like, oh, I gotta play like all these tech blues in my blue base. It's like it's nothing like, yeah, it's not exciting. You're not like, wow, that's so great, but I think it does matter, or it does do something. Oh yeah, Browbeat. We talked about Browbeat. I could see a world where like maybe you can play Browbeat and Lioth. If you Arsenal, it's a 0 for 6. And if you're playing on the like suspense aura axis, where you get to like browbeat them and then empty your hand with expense, like you play like Tension in the Air, Active Glory, and then Arsenal a card or something. Sort of interesting.
Okay. It's close.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Lias Blues have been like kind of
bad.
Not very good. You play them to enable Titan's Fist and you're trying to find the least embarrassing blues. And I think getting to play blues that can do things sometimes is pretty significant. But yeah, I don't know exactly what the deck will look like.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. Interesting. Maybe someone will figure it out and show us how it's done. Okay, so that was the last card to talk about for the Omens of the Third Age spoilers. I think there's like maybe a couple more cards that's gonna come out after we record, but we won't talk about those. By the time we'll have our next recording, it'll be after the Omens of the Third Age world premiere has happened, where Yuki is going to, and then we'll talk about the pre-release primer with Yuki's experience at the world premiere on the next episode.
Yep. Yeah. And then after that, I would imagine we're getting right into the how to draft heroes episodes. So there probably won't be too much time to talk about more spoiler cards. But I imagine once we spend our time on limited like we usually do, at least back when we had limited sets, we usually do. So it's been a while. But once that's all done, we'll probably loop back to Classic Constructed eventually. And maybe some of the cards will come up if they're really impactful in the discussion, kind of indirectly. But yeah, this is probably it for the spoiler discussion. So yeah, that's going to wrap up our spoiler discussion. If there are cards that you really want to talk about and we didn't get to them and you think they're good, or cards that we did talk about and you don't agree with our takes, or you think we missed something, a cool interaction, and you want to let us know about those, we'd love to hear from you. You can find us on social media. Jay's at UedaJ on Twitter, and I'm at Yuki Liebender on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/onthebobble, and reach out to us through the Patreon Discord there. So yeah, that's going to be a wrap for us. And thank you all for listening. Hope this gave you lots to think about with the upcoming Omens of the Third Age set coming out. And good luck to you all as you prep for Nationals or Armory or pre-release, whatever you have coming up. Best of luck to you all.
Awesome. Any sign-offs? Oh, I actually have one that's not Flesh and Blood ready. That's not even that interesting. But man, I don't know if it's ADHD or whatever it is, but the casino that I usually go to have a I just learned while I was in Japan, they released stamp cards for the month of April and May. And every day you go and you get a stamp, and then if you collect enough stamps, they give you like a free play based on the number of stamps you've collected. Oh my god, that promotion is so, it triggers, I don't know what about me it triggers, but it makes me want to go to the casino every single day. It's kind of crazy. Like, all it is like a stamp card, you know? Like, they just stamp a little thing on it. I'm not even gambling. I'm just like collecting stamps on a card.
But it really makes you want to keep going, huh?
Yeah, it makes me want to keep going. I've been going like the last 6 days in a row or something, and it's honestly it's like a very good thing for me, as most of my income comes from going to the casino. So like if I'm there, I'm gonna spend like 4 or 5 hours, like, you know, doing my things. But like, man, when the casino forces me to go to the casino every day, oh my god, it feels great. It's like, yeah, honestly, it
I
kind of
feel
feels
like
like work is giving me a reason to go back to work, and just like, here's some stamp card. Like, thanks for showing up to work today.
that's pretty funny. I feel like for a lot of people, this could be a negative of like wanting to go to the casino all the time, but because of how you interact with casinos and because they are generally profitable for you, it's cool that you're getting some upside from that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'm like going to work every single day, 6 hours, 6 hours every time I go. It's kind of crazy. Oh, usually I'm so lazy to go, and I'm probably gonna go after this recording too.
They really got you. This is crazy.
Yeah, and all it is like a piece of cardboard, and they're just stamping stamps on it. It's man, oh my god. Definitely this interaction definitely made me think I just like collecting stuff. And man, collectible card games, trading card games, oh my god. These things too. They're all the same. They just makes me want to complete stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah. I guess if any of Jay's employers or future employers are listening, you know how to get Jay interested and excited about work. You just gotta make a stamp card for him.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, if you complete the stamp card, we'll give you a $10 gift card. Yo, I'm so down, man. I won't miss a day of work.
That's
uh,
funny.
yeah, because the casino, that's basically what we're getting, right? If we complete the whole thing, it's like a $25 free play. It's like not worth any money or worth the time to do it. It's just, but like just the action of just getting it done is kind of fulfilling. It feels like side quests in like video games where it's just like, it doesn't do anything, but like having that little like completion check mark next to it feels so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely something to this. There's a reason that a lot of places use, stamp cards, check marks, all these types of things, because yeah, people do get satisfaction out of like checking things off, completing things, and yeah, it works more for some people than others, but yeah, no, that's cool. I'm glad that you've been extra motivated.
Yeah, super motivated to go count some cards at the blackjack table. uh, okay, yeah, that's all I kind of wanted to say.
All right, have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night. Happy Flesh and Blood.